Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. Oh my, we scored a goal. Can we keep up this breakneck momentum? We're getting all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And Atl Utd drew 1-1 this past weekend, and we will have that review later on very shortly. But first off, let's give some shouts out to our loyal Patreon fam. Most notably, Gavin, Jordan, Niall. Congrats on your graduation, by the way. Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, and Jeff. Thank you guys so much, as always. But yes, Atl Utd, like aforementioned, it was a long time coming, but yeah, we finally scored a goal, and after 363 minutes, we broke the duck, and yeah, that's not a good historic number to have achieved, unfortunately, but yes, we have set the MLS record for scoreless minutes, and that, frankly, is embarrassing. But yes, it was against Nashville SC, of course. And, you know, going into the match, a pair of 3-0 losses, one against the Disney Kitties, definitely does not sit well. But, you know, I think vibes weren't exactly the highest going in. But we, basically had about, I think, 3 minutes to pretty much prevent ourselves from kind of setting the record. But, you know, that's a tall order nowadays for sure. But, yeah, I mean, I think the goal, I think, came in moments where we were on top. And it was, I think, even if it was on accident, like Mike was positing, I mean, I still think it was a pretty well-worked goal in the sense that, yeah, you know, I think from the delivery from Pedro Amador, he was getting a lot of freedom, and he was taking his chances. But, yeah, it took a little bit of luck, and sometimes you got to ride that, especially if you want to break the duck. But, yeah, as far as kind of a overview of this match, what were your thoughts on this match, Michael?
Yeah, my main thoughts are, thank goodness we finally got a goal, and from open play too. However, I do believe it did. There's a big chance in my mind that that goal was, you know, that pass/shot by Lennon could have been, you know, Schrodinger's pass/shot. You know, who knows which one it was supposed to be. Either way, it doesn't matter. He put it in the right spot, right time, and Miggy knew to be at the right place. And that was, you know, what you want to see. Maybe not something that's super replicable because we don't know if he meant to do it, but I still think throwing it into the mixer, absolutely, like, that can't hurt. So, you know, good for them. That's good for us. I want to see a little bit more of that chaos against other teams in their own box.
And to add, yeah, just sorry to interrupt there, but yeah, basically there was a parry as well from the keeper, and so, you know, that maybe necessarily wasn't going to always land at Brooks Lennon's feet. And as we know, Lennon probably would have just stood it up if he was actually crossing. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I think you're right. It's a big question if he actually meant it or not, because those balls on the ground usually aren't his MO. So, yeah, you know, it's a conundrum. Who knows? But either way, it wasn't replicable in the sense that you don't usually get the parry from the goalkeeper. Right. But go on.
Yeah, and Pedro Amador, credit to him for putting the goalie in that awkward situation with his outswinger cross. That was, you know, doing God's work once again. Pedro Amador on the left side. So that's good to see again. Hopefully he continues to heat up, because he's unfortunately been a little quiet this season as well. But yeah, the main story of this game is the fact that after we scored that goal, maybe around 5 minutes later, the team completely drops off. Inexplicably. We had the momentum. We had the go-ahead goal. The other team had to come out to play against us. And somehow we decided to, instead of attack them and put them to the sword, we shrink back. We play defensive. And I'm not sure it was our desire to do so. I think Nashville just said, oh, I guess we're playing. Let's step it up. Let's go to a higher gear. Atlanta could not find that gear. And so we were pinned back. And according to Nashville's plan, once they got punched in the face, we're going to start punching you in the face. And they started coming at us. And it was rewarded eventually with a goal. And we never looked again like we were seriously going to threaten for another goal, with that relentless pressure coming from Nashville after we, like I said, punched them in the face and around it was the 25th minute or something. So yeah, that's really not great to see, because typically we are waiting for Atlanta United something bad to go not their way, either like the other team scores or a call doesn't go our way, we get a goal pulled back. Something along these lines is usually what makes our team kind of lose faith, hang heads, things of this sort. But this is a positive thing that happened, and yet it still happened. And I know the coach bandied around some explanations like, is it a mentality thing? Is it a physicality thing? Is the team being overtrained? Are they not fit enough? Are they running out of energy? Because it certainly seemed like they did early in the game, which is surprising. So a lot of issues and things to really work on still, and need to figure out what the heck happened there, because a lot of us thought, well, when Atlanta United gets punched in the face, they back down. But now it's like we did the punching and then we put all of our energy into it and then we passed out afterwards. So very strange.
Yeah, and it was as well, though, Miggy starting at the 10 spot, Moranchuk in an 8 position, Johnny Fortune out wide on the left. And yeah, I mean, I guess some players maybe not in the positions that they're normally playing per se, but I mean, that's no excuse for the fatigue that's been continual this season. And we made 4 substitutes in the second half as well. Mascara coming on for Saba. I mean, Schlieff came on for Click as well, and then Edwards and Tiare, all came on, and so definitely very interesting in that respect. Of we just we brought all these fresh legs on, and yet we didn't look any more energetic. It was pretty much. I think from a chance standpoint, we didn't really look like we really were creating much at all in the second half. Just kind of bereft of ideas, really. And I think that's kind of the annoying bit. But the goal itself was a bit of a kind of milestone moment. Lennon, he got his 40th assist. That puts him ahead of Julian Gressel. For first in Atlanta United history in career assists. Congrats to Lennon. I think there is a longevity there in that respect, because I think he's played 2 or 3 more seasons than Julian Gressel for Atlanta United. I think maybe 2. But also, Almiron, it was his 24th goal for the club in the MLS regular season, and that puts him second most in club history, surpassing Thiago Almada. So, congrats to Miggy. But I mean, it's this type of match that it's the tale of two halves that we just continually play all season, and we might look good for parts of a half, and then we just cannot piece it all together, and very, very frustrating. It's just
I mean, we looked good for the first 25 minutes. We looked pretty good. We were like, wow, Miggy at the 10 is working. This formation change, or the player switching positions change, seems to be really working. And then it's just that precipitous drop off.
Mm-hmm. And it's just perplexing, because Deila, if he had the solution, he would have figured it out by now. So it's not that simple, obviously. And there are certain other factors at play, of course, as well. But Derek Williams, he also did return to the lineup in place of Cobb. So it was pretty much a pair of the most pretty much experienced feet in the back and at the center back pair in Williams and Abram. But ultimately, I think you want to see more chance creation, especially at home. Especially kind of, draws at home, just not good enough. And especially.
And it wasn't an even draw either. I mean, after the 25th minute, Nashville was fully in the driver's seat, and their destiny was in their hands. Atlanta was extremely passive and a passenger for the rest of the game.
Right. And that field tilt pretty much really heavily favored Nashville. Pretty much a lot of yellow versus our red. But so a match that, I mean, while on the outset 12th versus 7th does kind of at least, this is better. This is a better result against a higher opposition side, but it's still not good enough for the expectations going into the season. So, at home, you absolutely need to take care of business. And a result is at least better than what's been happening. But as far as good enough, not good enough at all. So, final thoughts on this match?
It's interesting because it's like new problems are emerging. It's interesting as they tried a new solution, and applaud them for that. That they are trying to experiment to figure out what's going on to try and make things better, and good for them for doing so. And then it's like a new kind of problem pokes its head up. That's got to be frustrating from their point of view. So it's like a game of whack-a-mole. You can never keep it all down. So very frustrating.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor, unfortunately. Not one that you particularly want to associate with your football club, but it is the case. But so that is the match review, and Ellie and I will play Chicago Fire over the weekend, and so we will have that preview later on for you in this episode. But let's get into the news. And Miggy and Saba have both made their 350th club appearance in their career. Not for Atl United only, of course, but both of them hit that milestone. Saba made his 50th career appearance for Atl United in this match as well. So, I mean, it's interesting that both of them have played the same number of games exactly. But he's Saba is the 30th player in the club history to hit that mark. But as far as Deila, he mentioned that after the match, it was kind of the questions he was asked, but he said the time after the goal was being more passive, and that's definitely obviously not something that we want at all. But it wasn't what he wanted either. As well, after my screen stops going black here, but said there's too much up and down inside the game, and he's trying to identify whether it's mental or physical, but said it's not an issue of motivation, and that was according to Tyler Pilgrim. Kind of like what you were saying. It's, the fact that, he said it's not motivation. Hopefully it's not, but I think there are some indications, at least via some players' social media, that we won't really maybe call out specifically, but you start to wonder where some people's minds are at, especially when you have really high expectations going into the season, or some players that are maybe wanting some more playing time. Or maybe wanting to go to other teams. Just think about what players' perhaps contracts are coming up soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bit of that too. It's it's like they're not here for the long haul anyway. You would hope that they would play for their contract as well. Because that part's important. I would feel if they don't play well, your next contract probably won't be very good. Or you will probably have to take a pay cut somewhere. That's also not very good. So, I think the motivation should almost always be there if you're wanting to be a pro football player. But, you do you. So, it's hopefully it's a bit of that. there is an aspect of it that, with Ronny Deila and talking to WSB, ABC, Allison Mastrangelo, he did a one-on-one interview with her, and basically mid-April he said that basically the winless streak and all that. Well, Deila, he talks about the team being a little too quote-unquote cozy, and said that they have a very experienced team, which is a good thing, but the young, ambitious players, he needs them to be around the older players. And after my screen stops going black, feels the group is too settled, that it needs to change over time, and that there needs to be more on-field leaders, and consistent leaders on the field as well. So all things that I'm glad he is actually recognizing, but and that was mid-April. Still, it still feels a little too late right now. Like, obviously it's not on him to find the leaders per se, but it is, I guess, on him to accentuate their, their qualities. Take advantage of those type of players that are on the pitch that can help get the best out of the rest of your players. But how do you take what you've heard Deila say there?
I mean, we've known this for a while. Atlanta United lacks leadership. We had it a little bit back again with Gigi. He did some leader-like things at times that I thought were good for the team that I felt like we haven't had in a while. I was a little concerned with Maranchuk coming in because I didn't see a lot of leadership qualities with him per se. Similarly with like Thiago Almada, A, he's young, and B, he's kind of like meek and mild in terms of his personality. He's not exactly outspoken and boisterous. So, not that you need to be in order to be a good leader, but I just feel like we don't have a lot of the traditional kind of leader archetypes in this team. And I feel like in past years, when we were good, when we were winning things, we were flush with leadership qualities. I mean, almost any of the players on the team were like pseudo leaders at the time. Even like Franco Escobar, Eric Remedi, like Jeff Lernovitz, Michael Parkhurst, all these guys are like almost pseudo captains already. And throughout the entire pitch, you had this, but like you had like these it's like there was leaders everywhere throughout the entirety of the pitch for your team. And right now, maybe it's in goalkeeper, and that's not typically the place where you want it to be at, especially if it's the only place. So yeah, it's a little worrying that we don't really have that. And when you see people like Noah Cobb and other like homegrowns or other players that traditionally aren't the ones you would look to step up when you have senior level players to do that, when you see them doing that instead, you scratch your head and wonder, where is the leadership from these other more experienced players that Deila was referring to?
Mm-hmm. And it's that Dax McCarty called it out as well, that Sion Gregerson, Bartosz Leash, both of them need to kind of be a little bit more vocal, but yeah, it seems like they're not automatic starters right now. Well, one of them being more injured and Schleich being kind of in and out of the 11. So it's definitely, I think, from a merit standpoint, that also is part of it. So yeah, it's it's part of the many problems right now. Yeah, we're not 14th right now without a multitude of reasons and problems. So that definitely is the case here. But they're trying to solve some of these issues, and they're bringing in some golden retrievers to the training grounds this week. Apparently, I think it was like Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday. It was Tuesday that they brought a trio of furry friends to the grounds, and it was part of the Mental Health Month initiative, which I think is perfect timing right now because, just good vibes with, some unconditional love from some golden retrievers is always good. But so yeah, they were treated to Queso, Reggie, and Peppa, who were conversely what we dealt with today. We didn't get the sun like the puppers did there, but basically, speaking of the training grounds, yes, we were there with the season ticket holder kind of event where I would count probably a little bit over maybe 70 to 80, maybe something like that. Fans were able to watch the practice today, and it was like a little bit overcast, and it really luckily rained while we were leaving, so it was not during practice, but it was illuminating for sure, because for a multitude of reasons. But curious your thoughts first, Michael, and I'll give mine.
I mean, there's a few thoughts. Let me see if I can get to. I'm sure maybe I'll have I'll be reminded of more as we talk more about it. But I remember one thing that came out of this is something I kind of knew. I knew this, but it never really dawned on me. The significance of it. The fact that Brad Guzan doesn't really train with the team during practices. The goalkeepers, if you don't know this, they are off on their own, doing their own thing most of the time. When they're scrimmaging and stuff, of course, they'll come play with them. But for the most part, they're off on their own. Now, if that's your team captain, if that's the guy who's supposed to be the leader, it feels a little weird to me. It strikes me weird that I saw him off on his own, not with the team, most of the time. And if that's in training all the time, outside of scrimmages, which do happen during, trainings, it struck me as weird that, you'd think the captain should be with the team often. That was just it struck me as a little strange. But it is what it is. That's just the way they have selected the captain, and, they understand the inherent, limitations of that, and they're okay with it, I guess. So that's the first thing. We saw a lot of different, twos players, other players come in. We saw Armis, I think, come in, and boy, that guy's got a rocket for a foot. We knew this, but seeing it in person, it's impressive. That guy's got a heck of a rocket. I wanted to give him some plaudits. We saw a bunch of other interesting things, like Togashi in a scrimmage today. His counter pressing was fantastic. I was very impressed by watching him play and do that. I'm interested to see him be used more. Maybe we'll see more of him as the season goes on. Unfortunately, it seems like, Jamal Tiari has that spot locked down. I mean, I say unfortunately because I was teased by this training session with how well he did in really kind of hounding the goalkeeper in the defense, which I feel like we don't do a lot of that much. We try, but it wasn't very effective. I feel like Togashi maybe. Yeah, I think Togashi's a little bit more cerebral when to do it. And so I thought that perhaps was the reason why he was a little bit more effective than Jamal. Because when I saw Jamal in the training scrimmage, his counter press is just as you see it when he plays in a game. It's just not very effective. Just kind of, he's fast, runs straight at the goalie just passes it, and that's pretty much the end of it. But Togashi was actually able to cause some trouble and some chaos, which was interesting to see. Why don't you go over a few other things, and if I remember some others, we can go back to it, because there are a few other things.
Well, yeah, I think that's the interesting bit, is that, there was no Emmanuel Atl Utd today at the practice or at training. And, so, Tiari was starting with the first team. And so, no Atl Utd, who knows? It's a mystery why he was not available, whether that was just today or, it's going to be over the weekend. We will remain to see that pretty much. But I think the interesting bits as well, it's I think there are aspects of it where it leaves a lot to be desired, as far as from an intensity standpoint, as far as from, I think, yeah, Mike, you were saying, on our card right back that, players were probably on their best behavior. You can maybe touch on that a little bit before I get into other things.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been kind of the talk of the town for the last couple of weeks about, the cultural issues that are going on or speculatively going on within the bowels of Atlanta United. Like, what is the relationship like with these players? What do they do, together after games and things like that? What is the vibes like in the locker room, right? This has been on people's minds because of various things that have happened, and the non-cohesive nature in which they play kind of lends you to think that there's some issues. So I was curious to see, how in practice and how in training they'd be, and they look fine. That you look basically how you'd expect them to look. They're hanging out with each other, having fun, and when it came down to brass tacks and to do their job, they did it well. So it's pretty much as expected. Now, granted, again, like AJ alluded to, when they have all these people here watching, they're going to be on their best behavior. So we don't technically know how like a normal training session would be like. We've heard things from some of the other, Atlanta United media, who, the journalists who do go there and watch all the training ones, and you see, some things happen that they report on that did not happen today, obviously, because maybe they were told, keep that stuff down, or that doesn't look good for the club, let's not do that, keep yourselves on your best behavior today or something like that. So, but either way, it was a delightful experience watching them play regardless, and everyone seemed to be having a good time and in high spirits, which is good but expected, you know what I mean, and hopefully not too artificial or fabricated.
Right. And yeah, thank you to the team for, having all the season ticket holders come out. They fed us breakfast, water, coffee, all that. And yeah, we're very accommodating. So it was, definitely a great event in that sense. The players signed memorabilia after the training as well. So good on the players for that. There wasn't a Garth Lagerwey sighting nor a Ronny Deila sighting, in that respect, in terms of them kind of going through the crowd or anything like that. So, I don't know. It was raining afterwards, so, I think maybe if it wasn't, it might be a different story. Who knows? But, yeah, I think for me, I think you start to see kind of, at least from a intensity standpoint, from a, I think what you want to see more of is, kind of some different types of training that work on things that we're not great at. And I don't think we were seeing a ton of that, to be honest. And I think they ended the training with crossing, which, again, this is just a small sample size of one day out of the week. So they could be working on other things, during the week. Different types of training. It's not the same type of training every single day. I would hope not. And I think there were other fans that were, they were asking us. They're like, do these players do video sessions? Do they do one-on-ones with Ronny Deila or members of the coaching staff? That type of thing. And it's like, obviously we don't know, but it's a real good question, because there are certain aspects of each player that I hope that they're trying to get better at. I hope that they're watching tape and trying to improve certain parts of their game that can level them up. But I think one of the major things as well is just ending it on crossing, where it's Ronald Hernandez was pretty much from both sides, right and left, passing it from fullback positions, and allowing them to, the players to either try to score with their head or score with their feet at the back post. I mean, okay, a possible thing that we need to work on, in terms of scoring and whatnot, but I would hope that there's more of some different types of crossing versus just one type of crossing, which was the only thing that we saw. Like standing it up to the back post. And that was just, it's like that. Plus, certain players as well. In terms of scoring, I mean, it was rough a little bit to see some of those players not put very many balls in the back of the net, especially if they're a forward. Like it kind of exacerbates the problems that we have. It shows the problems really, and yeah, it's that, like, we're grateful that we were able to see the the training, but I think it's very illuminating, very, very illuminating, and just, I don't know, it's also, just at least for me, being a fan of other teams, or at least one other team, like if longtime listeners know. Yeah, there is a certain, like, quality that you see that it's like, okay, yeah, this is missing from what is going on at Atl Utd right now. And yeah, you really want to see different types of ways of playing in order to win games. And if we're in autopilot mode, I'm sorry, it's just not good enough. So,
yeah,
if they are doing different things, because they started off with a rondo, and actually it was interesting. Like, Miggy was pretty much with all the homegrowns, and it wasn't maybe as clicky as you kind of see on social media a little bit, or at least from little bits. But it still is like, there's the more experienced players, they're playing in their own rondo square, and then mostly, the younger people are sticking with, the younger crowd. So yeah, it's all very, very fascinating. And with this caveat as well, we could just be looking entirely too much into any of the things, but I think
it's what we have. Yeah,
it's what we have. We're entitled to the opinion as well. So they invited the fans out there. I mean, I think that's what it is. This is our platform to talk about it. Again, there's no ill will towards any of it. It's really just in the steed of wanting to win games and represent the club in the best way possible. And whatever way it takes to get there in terms of the players, the coaching staff, the club, just doing everything in its possible way to get to where we want to be. So, final thoughts on our trip to the training grounds.
Last thing I'll say was that one thing I noticed in the scrimmage, two things I guess, is first is the starting 11 was playing, starting 9, I guess they were not doing a full. We're playing against the depth, and the depth was taking it to them. The starters were struggling against them, which I was a little surprised about. That was kind of interesting. Like AJ said, the starters were struggling to score goals. They just were not clinical whenever they got the ball in front and anywhere close to net. Miggy was the only one who really looked dangerous, which is kind of like what you've seen in games. So it kind of translates. Another thing I did on kind of a more specific tactics level is that there was still a lot of crossing going on in the scrimmage. Errant crosses that just went nowhere, did nothing. They did quite a few of them, but they did once in a while try cutbacks and kind of low to the ground crosses that were not the traditional kind of in the air cross that just kind of often goes nowhere. And they found the back of the net once in a while with those at a more regular clip than you would with the air balls. So I've been saying this, everyone's kind of been saying this for a while, maybe we see more of those. I mean, Brooks Lennon literally got his assist off of Miggy's goal because of a low-lying cross. like
A low driven growth.
to him. Yeah, like low right to him, like instead of it being one of his, over the top again. So maybe we do a little bit more of those. Seems to be helpful and seems to work. But yeah, remains to be seen if they'll go back to that well.
Yeah. And I think, also interesting is kind of the formation that was played, without Emmanuel Atl as well. It seemed a little bit like a 3-4-3 to a degree. It seemed like Edwards was playing that right center back position, where also Williams was in the middle, Abram at the left center back, and so Williams as a sweeper, and Lennon, Amador as the wing backs. It was Click, Moranchuk in midfield. I think Miggy was floating. He could be starting on the right and then drifting a little bit more inside, but who knows really. It's
as he does.
It's really just that's his MO. And then on the left, it probably seemed like it was probably going to be Fortune, or it could be Fluid. Who knows? But I'm definitely curious if that's how we're going to set up for the weekend. We'll get into it in terms of the specifics, but definitely highly fascinating. But so let's wrap up the news with Atlanta United 2, and they drew Huntsville City FC 2-2. Lots of twos here. Saturday night after coming back from a 2-goal deficit, and then they earned the extra point in the penalty shootout. Definitely great on the twos for that. Midfielder Gabriel Wesse scored a second goal, another 2 in 3 games, and as well, my screen is completely going black right now. And defender Sal Mazzaferro scored his first goal of the season as well. So congrats to the twos on getting that extra point. So yes, let's get into the mailbag, and you guys send in these questions through Discord and IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your questions in the future. The first question comes from we need change. Boy, we do. At the very least, players need to play better. But the question is, what in the world is the mentality issue? It sucks to see the way they don't put in as much effort on the pitch. How do we fix this?
I mean, again, this is why I wrote that article, so I can say things like, read my article, instead of having to repeat myself 100 times. But I will say, the mentality issue, like I said, it's a little confusing at this point in time, because the mentality issue reared its head again, but this time it was in the face of a positive event that occurred in the game, which before historically has only been really happening for negative events. So it was a little strange of a data point to see. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it could very well be, like a fitness issue or like a physicality issue. There could be too much training or recovery or whatever, which is also odd because we've been touting, some of the best medical, training professionals at this club. This is one of our unspoken abilities that trump all the other clubs, is that we are able to spend in this facet of the club that other clubs don't have the coin for, because we're a very affluent club. So we can't necessarily put it into the roster, but we can put it into other areas and make that difference. Now, it doesn't seem to be translating if that's the case, if we're having fitness issues. So I think that could chalk that up to that. But again, that's kind of new and that's kind of concerning, almost even more than the things that we've had previous, because at least it seems like, for me, my idea is that the coach and the club has kind of identified that there's a cultural issue and that they're doing what they can to fix it and get it going. I think they probably identified the totality of what the issues are with the club and are moving over the next however long it takes. I know no one's going to want to hear this, but it might be 2 or 3 windows in order to get that rectified. But I do trust Garth and Hendo to be able to do so.
I would hope so. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's on them pretty much as well to fix all of this because, yeah, the as far as mentality, I mean, I've said this in previous years as well. We need more of those leaders on the pitch, like Dax has said, but this preceded Dax. I think it's bringing those type of players that have that mindset already, that are killers, that are guys that have maybe previously been captains elsewhere. Those are the types of players that from a starting player standpoint, that's how you can actually either lead by example or actually have some vocal leaders as well, which is super important. You want to hold the rest of your team accountable, and basically you have people that people just don't listen to, or there's not enough of them to hold people accountable. Because yes, to be fair, Brad Guzan is only one person, and there's 20 some odd players on this team. He can't bring every player under his wing. Like you see him talk to a lot of players, and it's a bit of it's something that we didn't say as kind of a impression that we got from the training session as well, is that I think what you see on the pitch before, like in the warm-ups and all that, it pretty much is kind of a very similar vibe in that sense, where there's maybe not maybe a just a oh man, like they really have great chemistry. They're just like, all right, these are very amicable coworkers. It's like,
I would say it like that. Yeah,
and that's like, okay, cool. But as far as for a football club, for a squad, I think you need more than that. I think you need guys that are that want to fight for each other, that want to essentially win at all costs. And so it's like, like I mentioned, the intensity, it needs to be more intense. There was a bit where I think who was it? Was it Lennon that took out Mosquera or somebody?
He was like, he had to call over the medical guys for a minute.
Right. Yeah, he got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. I'm trying to remember who got him, but either way, I think, okay, that does suck. You don't want to injure your teammate, but I mean, that's part of the, part of the trainings is that, you have to sometimes, you go in hard because that's how the game is played in real life. And so if, it's basically soft, and you don't get clattered, you don't actually go in and get stuck in, well then, when you actually get that in the game, you're gonna be a little shell shocked. You're not gonna, you're gonna be like, oh, like contact's coming. Oh, I'm maybe not. I'm just gonna get rid of the ball, and that's sometimes you have to ride the challenge. Sometimes you have to, just like you get hit, you keep running. And I mean, the whole Sylvester Stallone Rocky speech, it's a bit of that. But anyway, next question comes from Atl Utd VIPs. What's being discussed in the Atlanta United front office conclave? Love that word. Looking for
well, it's also appropriate right now with the whole Pope thing. So
yeah, for sure. Looking for replacements, X Games to get it right, or the dreaded full support of the board. Obviously, there's no board in in MLS really per se, but what are your thoughts there?
Like I said, I think that Garth's vision has been set upon what the biggest internal issues are that are causing the team to behave this way, and he's attempting to diagnose it and fix it as soon as possible. I think now that he has eliminated all of the other variables as to possible culprits for what is causing the team to play like this, he is left with whatever remains, which I believe is like, more of this, the cultural stuff that I talk about in the article that I wrote. I think that he goes, okay, let's look at that now, turn my gaze to that. That's going to take, because it took like 2 to 3 years to build that problem here that was never fixed or addressed once it became a problem, and it just congealed over 2 or 3 years. It's going to take like a year or so at least to probably untangle it all. So, I'm being a little vague because like I wrote a whole long thing about it, so it's like just easier to say to check out the article. But suffice it to say that, there's been like 2 or 3 years of these kind of lack of culture at the club. These cliques formed because of the lack of culture there. And that when you have that, they don't integrate as a full team when they're playing. This explains a lot of the, incoherency in their play. Like they're not interacting with each other outside of, practice, and maybe even having animosity built between the different cliques that they have if, the blame game starts. Because we've heard this, that from multiple players, even from the coach himself, that the blame game does start at times. So that can only get worse when you have pretty, defined cliques within an organization. So hopefully Ronny can kind of figure out how to bring them together as a, congealed group, a unit. But that's going to take a while to undo the things that are already there, the established cultures that are already there. They need to all buy into one Atlanta United culture, like how Rob got them to do with FEA. They don't have that anymore. So now they are grasping at straws. And so Ronny has to come up with his new version of that, or whatever that is. Or the club itself needs to create one, top down. I don't know exactly how to do it. I'm not paid that much money to do that kind of thing. So I don't know. But other clubs have figured it out. They've done it. We can do it too. We just haven't done it really yet ever since, 2019, because our original culture was that of winning. And once the winning stopped, because we dismantled the championship squad, and new players came in, they didn't have a connection to that winning culture. It's just all out the door. They all created their subcultures and groups after that. And then there was nothing really there was nothing left of of the 2019 and previous culture for anyone to come in to glob onto. So, we were kind of an empty vessel. You know?
There's 2 points I want to touch on, and they're great points of what you've mentioned so far. So, it's this. Well, one part is that, they went go-karting. So they team built there. They went apparently go-karting recently. That was according to I think Doka Roberson. But yeah, as far as
they're trying. They're trying. Give them credit, right?
Right, indeed. But as far as these problems, they're not unique to Atlanta United and MLS, unfortunately. Look at LA Galaxy, who of course won the MLS Cup, and now they are winless so far. So it's that part's crazy because they had to sell off 3 of their best players because of MLS parity. Because yes, when you win, there is no guarantee that you can afford your players because they have overperformed probably their contracts. So that's what happens in MLS right now. There are a lot of people that are pontificating, this doesn't work for MLS anymore. The whole parity thing, if you weren't going to compete with the likes of Liga MX and other leagues around the world, say in Club World Cup, you're going to have to be able to keep your best players for more than a year. And that's kind of part of it. We were a victim of that in 2019 and 2020. Obviously we were able to, I think, add to the squad in a fairly kind of inexpensive way in 2019, as far as maybe not paying massive transfer fees besides DPs, but you had guys on higher wages, but you also you saw where we basically couldn't afford the squad, and a lot of the players had to go after that. So that's the conundrum that you face. But as far as this,
we didn't replace like for like any of the replacements too.
Yeah, it was very much inferior. But no disrespect to the players, but it is just the fruit showed that it was unfortunately rotten. But as far as X Games to get it right, I mean it seems like Deila probably is going to get the rub of the green and probably the benefit of the doubt until there's a little bit more time, especially if he can get some results. If it's loss after loss, then the hand is forced at that point. But I think as far as the dreaded support of the front office, it probably is at the moment. And then, like I mentioned, if circumstances can at least show some improvement, I think he's gotta, Deila's gonna have a little bit longer leash. But as far as the transfer window, obviously it's closed. So, players coming in ain't going to happen until the summer transfer window. So that, that will have to be internal. But next question comes from, I'm going to rifle through these a little bit quicker, but a lot of these are kind of similar. Not really questions, but JLC Fuentes, we are garbage. Let's see. JFTATL. No, wait, not him. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Greatest Luke Brennan fan. Why there's no hope in the season? Why are we manure this? Why everybody's softer than baby manure? Sorry, my screen keeps going black, so I'm just trying to read it from memory at this point.
Go to the Patreon so AJ can afford a new monitor.
This monitor's new, but it is I don't know what's happening. Well, so I can afford some IT, guys. Why everybody's softer than baby manure on this team? Maybe next year again. Let's see. Homer Alexei is the number 10. This front office signing new players and not really caring about the manager's opinion, is that what really got us in this situation? Forcing us to play a certain way when they clearly don't know how to sign players for that system is mind-boggling. Pineda might not have been good. He wasn't that bad either, but I think he was scapegoated for shitty front office, and not from a Bocanegra standpoint, but from the ownership standpoint and scouting standpoint. The amount of people this ownership group slighted will have enough bad karma that we won't see another trophy for 10 more years. Woo! Homer, coming in hot. Obviously, there was a lot to that. Do you want to speak on that?
Yeah. The one thing I want to talk about that is the front office not caring about manager opinions in terms of how to build a team, and then forcing them to play certain ways. This whole concept of if you're, we're Atlanta United, we're gonna play on the front foot, possession based, dominating football. When you want to play like that, you have to be one of just statistically on paper, you have to be one of the better teams in the league in order to bully other teams, in order to do that, to get away with that kind of play. You have to be like Barcelona, PSG, Juventus when they were good, when you have a select amount of few teams in the league that are just far and away better than the others, the mass majority of the league, you can play like that and dominate and then take advantage. We can't do that here, and I think it's silly. I get it. They want to have this attractive brand of football, which is what was the hallmark of us in 2017, 18, 19. But the thing is, we don't have the personnel for that. We need to stop behaving like that, stop thinking we are that dominating team, because we are not. It's quite obvious our Achilles heel. Other teams just play us like they are, every team plays a team that's supposed to be, playing like Barcelona or something, right? They sit back, they counterattack, and they hope they can weather the storm and get something out of it. Every team plays us like that and cuts us right through. Yeah. Every single time. So regardless of manager, regardless of personnel, regardless of tactics formation, it's the same story every season. So I mean, and it only changed when like Rob decided, well, we need to probably try and do that more because, you know, he's identified we are the super big underdogs against like Miami and stuff like that going into the playoffs. So I just don't know why we are so set in. I know like we're the Kings of the South, which is laughable. We're the worst team in the South technically right now. You know, we're this royalty and this like the super club, etc. All the plaudits we used to, you know, tout around. Like we need to really like not abandon that stuff, but put it to the side for now and at least have some humility to realize we are down bad and we need to adopt the stance of the underdog to be like, we need to get that shit back. Instead of this, we're already on the top, and then people just come at us thinking we're the Kings, and they don't miss. So like, it's wild that I feel like every game when a team comes into the Benz, they're playing like their Club World Cup final, right? And we're just like, it's a Tuesday, and we just get blown out because they're like, wow, we defeated the mighty Atlanta United. And we're like, bro, we've been bad for like 6 years. Like, what do you? It's gotten to the point of like ludicrous, you know, nonsense at this point for me. So it's very frustrating. I just abandoned that. You know, do something more, right?
A wake up call is absolutely needed, and it's the way the messaging to the fans. I think fans will accept that we are the underdog because that is the reality, and you know, saying that we're one thing when it's clearly not. It's the false bravado at this point that is almost hurting the way that the casual fans view the club as well, because it's also this. Like, I took a walk today around my neighborhood, and I had the free shirt that they gave on the at the last match, and a person was like, "Oh, Atl United, huh?" They're like, "They suck this year, right?" I'm like, "Man, I don't even have a refute to that. I don't." Like, I'm like, it's for better or worse. Like, I'm here. I'm a fan of this club, but it's like, man, you're making it real worse. Like, it's tough right now, for sure. And you know, it's like, you know, people that aren't even following the club, they know, and that's how obvious it is. So it's like, you can't be Delulu. Like, it really is. Like, you are like the awareness is very important. Is very, very important when it's a kind of, I guess culturally, the message to the fans, like, all that needs to be revamped, reformed, because it's something
and please do not ever say point secured again from a draw from home. Please. Away is fine, but at home, that's 2 points lost. You should be saying.
And it's like, I mean, yes, after the month we had, yes, a point secured is in the right direction, but it's not good enough. And I think Felipe Cardenas had an article about that, you know, pretty much kind of digging into it a little bit. But anyway, that does it for the mailbag. Thank you guys for sending in those questions, but let's get into the match preview. And 2:30 on Saturday, we will be playing the Chicago Fire at Soldier Field. 11th place Chicago Fire and 14th. Oh man, that hurts to say. For Atl United, we have a -8 goal difference. They have a -4. If my screen comes back, yes, it is. They last played to a 0-0 draw versus Orlando City. We last played them to also a 0-0 draw on April 28th of last year. The good news is that we have won 3 and drawn 3 in our last 6 against the Chicago Fire. So that is good at
Well,
least
they just
theory.
played an Open Cup game tonight and won 4-0 with probably a wildly rotated squad. So, but that's something.
Right. So, yeah, they're coming in hot with a lot of confidence because Greg Berhalter, yes, that Berhalter is now their head coach. And, yes, he basically, as far as, his past clubs that he's coached, notably the Columbus Crew, they're a balanced squad. They're a team that
Except for when you're playing Nashville.
yeah. But except for that. But other than that, yeah, he does keep it pretty possession based, pretty in the sense that there's hardly probably a weak link to a degree as far as what you can really, I think, really hone in on. But they have 5 new starters, maybe 6. So they do have to kind of learn how to play each other or play with each other so far. Kind of like our issues. But yeah, they definitely had a lot of key departures from last season. A lot of good players, but also new signings as well. But yeah, Rafael Chichos, Gaston Jimenez, Fabian Erbers, also when the screen pops back up, Georgios Kustafos, or Kusias rather, Federico Navarro, and Arnaud Suquet, all left the club. Came in through the off-season was Jonathan Bamba, Leonardo Barrasso, Jack Elliott, Romanike Kwame, Sam Rogers, Philip Zinker Miguel, and yeah, I mean that's a good number of players that have already been added, and it's as far as kind of their stalwarts as well. I mean, you have Kellen Acosta, you have Andrew Gutman as well, who's been kind of I think he's MLS quality. Andrew Gutman has been a guy that has a couple of defensive frailties, but otherwise, I mean, a guy that plays with a lot of heart, and I think that's really what we're kind of missing in Atl Utd right now is players with heart. But as far as the pundits, they have predicted them to finish as low as 11th and as high as 7th. So they're right about kind of toiling away near a final playoff spot, pretty much where they are. But yeah, Greg Berhalter, first year with the club, they didn't qualify for the playoffs last year. They finished 15th in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, as far as how they play, they counterattack very well. They play down the wings. They have players that have a good bit of individual skill as well to break down teams. They also are strong at finishing their scoring chances and coming back from losing positions. So, yeah.
Sounds like a good team.
Sounds like a good team.
Describe that.
But they're not quite exactly, I think, good at a lot of these things, which is protecting the lead. Also stopping the opponent from, whenever my screen wants to, from creating chances, from defending against attacks, like if they're skillful, they are not, I would say, how do we say that? They're basically a little foul centric. They basically will foul you in some dangerous areas. So if we can get a set piece and take advantage of it, then that is something that would be good. They do make a lot of defensive errors, so I think that's where we can kind of get at them because they're still trying to figure it out. They, I think with all the new players defensively, they're a bit of a mess, as we could have guessed with Nashville tearing them apart with a new one with a touchdown, essentially. So, yeah, a team that can be got. But, us on the road, that's the crapshoot. But, again, it is a side that we are undefeated in the last 6 matches. And Chicago Fire have been drawing at both halftime and full time in their last 3 home matches against Atl Utd in all competitions. They've also drawn their last 3 home matches against Atl Utd in all competitions. So rife for a draw here, it seems like. But yeah, as far as the match forecast, it seems like Atl Utd probably will score from a wing play type of situation, which sounds about right. Chicago Fire will score as a result of some skill or maybe on a counterattack, and that probably, yeah, sounds about right as well. But yeah, as far as the unavailable players, so for Atl Utd, Emmanuel Atl is a little bit of a mystery. Who knows what's actually happening there, but Stian Gregerson with his quad, he's probably out at least 1 more week. Tristan Muyamba with his adductor, probably out at least 1 more week as well. But that gets us to our predicted starting 11. And boy, this is going to be interesting. Like, as we mentioned in the news, we saw them play a 3-4-3 in training today. And, you know, whether they actually stick with that, was it just because Emmanuel Atl was out, or they were trying something different for this match, maybe in the sense that, yeah, you know, probably maybe playing a little bit more defensively with some more defenders and possibly a little bit more fluid of a lineup. I mean, no, this is what we saw. Like, Brad Guzan, obviously, but in that 3-man back line, Edwards, Williams, Abram, and at wingback, pretty much either in a 4 or a 5, it will remain to be seen, but Len and Amador as the wingbacks, Click, Moranchuk, you know, Fortune, I believe, was on the left, so I'm led to believe that Almiron is the right winger, and then Tiari up top. But I like the fluidity in that Edwards could possibly be that kind of not only right center back, but also a right back if necessary, if Lennon pushes up, kind of a la the 2018 playoff season where, you know, kind of we were a little bit more fluid with Franco Escobar, with Julian Gressel. You know, we essentially were able to kind of mask some players' deficiencies, but also accentuating the proficiencies of certain players. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that possibly happening, or do you have a completely different lineup in mind?
Yeah, I mean, like, before, you know, we started recording, we talked a little bit about that, and, you know, based on what we saw in the, like, at the training session, like, yeah, I thought it's very possible, very likely, and that formation that you just put out there about 3-4-3 is exactly one of the experimental formations I thought that we could potentially see. The other one being not experimental, I mean, it kind of, but we saw it last game, is the 4-2-3-1, just not having Latte Lap this time, just replaced with Jamal, but basically the same formation there, because Almiron scored. You got a goal out of that formation, so perhaps why stop a quote-unquote winning hand, right? Because, like, you did not score the previous 2, and now you scored 1 here, so why break what's not broken, right? But if they do, I honestly do think that there's a chance they can switch to, like, a 3-4-3 like we were talking about. A, because they were practicing it. B, they're getting ready. It's not here yet, you know, with this next away game, but, like, in the near future, we're going to be hitting a 6-game away stretch. This could be designed with eyes towards that. Let's begin training the team with a proper understanding and, you know, regimented training on a 3-4-3 that gives you a little bit more defensive solidity when you're away, which makes sense to me. You know, you want to play a little bit more defensively against, you know, when you're away for however long. This in Chicago is a great team to practice that on, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if we went with that 3-4-3 for Chicago, with eyes to get it ready for the long away sojourn that we're going to go on. If not, it might just be what apparently got us our only goal in 360 some odd minutes last game with the 4-2-3-1, just replacing Jamal with latte latte because no one knew where he was today at training.
Yeah, and so it is that mystery, but it is also I wonder because Saba's not part of this. There is as well another left winger, Edwin Mosquera, not part of this, and yeah, it's like you do want runners, and I think. Maybe if you are going to play 3 at the back, well, yeah, you're going to probably try to sit a little bit more than I think we're used to. But who knows? I mean, we very well could just throw that out the window and try to possess in this formation, which, okay, it's a little... It's this. It's like, are you going to find as many triangles, across the pitch? I wonder, but Almiron, he's always going to drift a little bit more inward. I think obviously we saw Amador find some joy on the left because he was isolated out there. He was able to, basically pump in service as he so chose. And yeah, maybe it is Lennon and Amador. They are the lone width, and as far as maybe the help defense. Yes, you do see Miggy, you do see Fortune, kind of at least track back there, but are you a little light in the middle? I think there are pluses and minuses to this. There's fluidity. There's a little bit of, maybe Lennon can, like he did in the last match, move up to right wing. Like I just mentioned with Edwards playing a little bit more right back. You can kind of shift everybody over into a 4-2-3-1 pretty easily. In one respect, and that's if you keep Fortune on the left. But I think I'm a little bit more of the mind that I want to put Fortune with Moranchuk. I think that's a pretty decent pairing that we haven't really seen a ton of. Click, was able to make a kind of recovery run to save a ball, in the last match, but I think. Ultimately in the long run, you need somebody that's, can run all game, and that's Jay Fortune.
Yeah, it's like Click is basically a planned substitution too, which can be a detriment.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, if it's a planned substitution, well then at some point, like you pretty much lose out on being able to do a tactical sub because you have to pretty much, account for player fatigue. Like that's no way to, actually trot out an 11. But either way, I think it's gonna be fascinating. I mean, we will have some more options off the bench, and we pretty much will have 3 wingers that we can bring in, and Mosquera, Saba, and Luke Brennan. So I guess that part's good, but yeah, I don't know. Is this the winning 11? Is this it's like I'm all for whatever can have us score as many goals as possible and also keep out as many goals as possible. So whatever is gonna work, I'm for. So yeah, I don't know. Final thoughts on this this starting 11.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would like to see a little more Cayman Tagashi though. After what I saw at training today, I think like deserves a little bit of a look.
Yeah.
Just a different profile of striker. It might be interesting, but Jamal's quick, so.
Yeah. And yeah, he's obviously paid more. He's probably, the second striker in the depth chart. But yeah, I agree. Togashi, I think if we maybe played him on the left, it would be interesting to see because, yeah, from a pressing standpoint, it also is that. Like, if you can press well, like maybe you don't need to possess the ball as well in a sense, and win the ball higher up, you can get those better chances in the box. That's what we need. We need as many chances in the box as possible. But anyway, yeah, so that's our predicted starting 11. What do you guys think? Let us know in those comments below. But let's get to the score prediction. What do you got?
1-1.
1-1. Yeah, it's a draw. I mean, yeah, if you're a betting man, yeah, all the signs point there. I am thinking Wild. I'm thinking we get a 2-1 win here. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I'm hoping we just somehow figure it out a little bit.
Are there any penalty kicks in this game?
I don't think so. We don't really do that well with those penalty kicks, but sometimes it just depends on who's kicking it. But yeah, I think it's probably a little bit more Almiron kind of in his scoring run. I think that part's good. I think Pedro Amador gets one here as well. I mean,
oh, okay.
Yes. Maybe the winner. So let's hope. But
would that be his first goal for us?
I think it might. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, I think he had 8 assists last year, but no goals. But anyway,
bold prediction.
Bold. Gotta live boldly. That's what the team's not doing. Is
live boldly. That's.
Yep, we're not playing courageously. So you know what? Let's hope that it happens. But anyway, guys, that is the episode there and there, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, who's someone on the team that you think deserves more playing time? And, I think there are some that have shown some things, especially if you were at the practice, especially if you had the training. Yeah, let us know in those comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is the episode. So remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's Michael. I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.